When your mother is so mean that it makes you feel like you wish you were never born, and you wonder why you were even put on this earth if all you had to do is endure her, like that's all you've been doing your entire life, then we need to talk about this a little bit more, you and me here. So I read a lot of your comments, and there's a common theme I've been seeing a lot lately, which goes along the lines of, I wish I was never born because my mother just treated me so badly, and what is the point of me even being around? So you feel that way all because you were raised by a horrible, horrible, horrible mother that was constantly mean to you for no apparent reason. And I say apparent not because I'm going to change it up and be like, you know what, maybe you are difficult. You're never going to hear me say that. And even if you were difficult, nothing can excuse that behavior. And I believe the children that are difficult are usually difficult as a byproduct of being abused. So it always comes back to who raised us to be and to become the way that we have, right? But I say that apparently because I'm going to need you to know that there was a reason behind all that abuse. And today I'm going to talk about that reason, right? Before we start to elaborate on the reason, let's just frame who this narcissistic mother is. Because we do throw around the term loosely all the time. And there's a lot of policing around whether we are allowed to call people narcissists based on the fact that they have just a few narcissistic traits. But it so happens that most of your mothers, especially those of you in the comments, have all of the narcissistic traits, but lack the diagnosis. And here you go, trying to figure out whether your mother is a narcissist, but your mother never really got a diagnosis about it. So a lot of people will invalidate your estimation of whether your mother was narcissistic or not. So let's just frame that for a sec before we begin. Okay, the traits of what we call a narcissistic mother. Again, we cannot diagnose her, and if she would ever even try to be diagnosed, she would lie through the diagnosis and appear very charismatic to a therapist who doesn't know the difference. So she is controlling, she is entitled, she lacks empathy, she's emotionally immature, she's very critical, very judgmental. She will gaslight you. She will not appreciate you. She's a person with whom, when you're in proximity, it feels like your brain cannot function properly because of how invasive the experience of being around her is. You cannot have your own thoughts. You cannot have your own opinions. You cannot react to the abuse. You cannot do anything. She is a self-centered, emotionally immature, very elated, as appearing that they think the best of themselves person who is impossible to make any sense with. And they're very unreliable with the truth. But the biggest characteristic of somebody who's narcissistic, in my opinion, is the sheer lack of empathy. To the degree where you're like, how is this even possible that she would be so cruel when she saw her own child suffer because of how she treated that child? So this is, in short, what we would characterize as their narcissistic mother. And I'm going to make a video, if I haven't uploaded already, with all of these signs, more details, so that we don't have to go into it right now. So it's either going to be somewhere here or you will find it. Right, where's my piece for today? So the reason you are abused by this woman is basically because of how she is, right? Just who she is, just like I told you who she is, explains why you were abused. But today I want to take it further and explain my own theory around why I believe narcissistic mothers abuse their daughters in a different way that they abuse their sons. Let's just put that out there, because it's going to be somebody in the comments, what about sons? I don't talk about sons here because I work with women and I talk about women. So if you're a son that resonates with this, it's beautiful, but I specifically focus on talking about women, and I'm sure there's more content that talks about men. Anyway, parenthesis. Now, the narcissistic mother deliberately abuses her daughter and finds joy in destroying her daughter's self-esteem and sense of worth because she is immature She's jealous of her daughter. She's jealous of youth and the lost opportunity. She's deeply misogynistic, and she is trying to feel empowered in a world that took her power from her very early. Because usually the narcissistic mother has herself a narcissistic mother, if not a narcissistic father, but it tends to really travel through the daughters, through the mothers, and it keeps going. This is what we call the generational narcissism. So this woman saw you as competition. She saw you as another emerging woman she had to destroy. But before she did all that, she decided that you would be her little doll, right? You would be so cute, and she would raise you, and you would look so cute, and you would do everything perfect until you started having an opinion that didn't match hers, until you stopped being a little doll, really. And most of you will have possibly distinct memories of your narcissistic mother starting to really act like she hates you once you started becoming your own person. Because what happens for women who are so insecure and emotionally immature and misogynistic, unaware women, when they see a daughter in her youth, in her power, in her independence, they hate her. She will resent you for being alive because she thinks the reason that she's miserable, she's fat, she's with your dad, the reason she's old, the reason she's tired, the reason she didn't succeed to become an astronaut or something amazing that she says she would have done if you weren't born, you get to be blamed for all of that, for her inadequacies and for the things she didn't pursue because she chose to become a mother. But what she doesn't reveal in all of that is that she became a mother because that's something she also wanted to pursue in one way or the next. Because our society celebrates us so much. When we walk around pregnant, people are nice with us. They're like, oh my God, you're having a baby. We get so excited. We feel accepted. We feel praised. We're doing something amazing. Not to downplay the fact that we are raising an entire human in our body, but really society celebrates it much more than what it actually is when it comes down to the fact of actual motherhood, right? But she ticked the box. She ticked the box when she married your dad. She ticked the box when she got pregnant. She ticked the box when she continued to get pregnant. She could tick the box when she chose the life that she chose, which she now blames you for, and you kind of have to pay it back. This is what this woman did to you, and this is why she did it. She thinks, in her mind, she probably tells you that too, that you're the reason that she's not happy. That if it wasn't for you, if you weren't born, if she hadn't had you, if you weren't around, if, and all have to do with you, this grown woman would now have been happier. And although this opens up the conversation for something bigger, such as we need to be more thoughtful when we're trying to have kids, or when we want to have kids, if we want the kids for real, or we just want the praise of a kid. Because if you post online that you're pregnant, people go nuts. You get all these likes and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so special. And then when you have the kid, the world is like, and then everybody gets over it. And you do too, right? I guess. But that's a bigger conversation to be had. But a lot of women have been driven to motherhood completely unaware that after you tick the box and you get the congratulations and everybody's so nice to you during that period, you are trapped in being someone's mother for the rest of their lives. And if you're emotionally immature and not understand that those choices that you made are not a favor to that kid, but they were something that you did because you decided to do it. If you're emotionally immature, you're going to have that kid needing to pay you off a debt for everything you've given to them, including life. But guess what? Although she may have told you differently, too late. She gave you that life. Now it's yours. And my hope is that through the work that I do and everything that I teach you, you realize that although she is the one behind you having a life, your life is yours. Absolutely and completely yours to do with it with what you want. It's like, it's your life. It's your life. It's not hers. She doesn't own you. She doesn't own your life. She can't control you. But Unfortunately, this narcissistic and toxic mother has hijacked your internal experience and lives in you. She is your inner voice. She is your inner critic. She is your self-hatred. She is the words you hear when you're looking in the mirror. This woman has managed to install herself into you, and you can run from her. You can never speak to her again, and life will get better just by doing that. Don't get me wrong. But you will never be free unless you eradicate her from within. Unless you stop searching for her love and acceptance and approval. And unless you stop hating yourself the way this woman hated you. Because that's the tragedy of having a narcissistic mother, which is why I continue to talk about them, although I dislike them very much. And as a matter of fact, I see a lot of them online coming and saying, you owe your parents for what they did. And I want to stitch those videos, but I get so annoyed. They managed to trigger me indeed. And I don't want to talk to them anyway. Like, I'm not going to have a conversation with them. But I am going to continue to have conversations with you. Because the thing is, and the tragedy of the childhood is what happened in the past, blah, blah, blah. But these women continue to dominate your lives. Externally, with what they're doing, what they're saying, how they're judging you, how they're putting you down, how you will go somewhere and they'll just start sharing embarrassing things about you, tell horrible things about you in front of others, make fun of you, make you feel really irritated. And when you lash out, everybody's looking at you going like, what is wrong with you? Because these people don't know your history. Don't forget, she might be the worst mother in the world, but she's very capable of being nice. And we know that because she's very charismatic with strangers. But the deeper reason of all that is that she has never done any reflective work to see herself. So she's not even realizing that she's being horrible to you. She's justifying her being horrible to you because she does think that she is your victim. The eternal victim of every child with a narcissistic parent is apparently the parent. Every parent that has raised a child with abuse and emotional neglect and criticism and humiliation rituals is suddenly the victim of ungrateful kids because they have always expected to be paid back for their generosity to bring you to life and also to keep you alive. If someone is even considering the fact that they kept you alive as something you owe them for, I wonder if that is telling of the fact that they thought they did have the power to take you out of this world. So here they are. Their narcissistic mothers have the complex, the God complex in them. But anyway, that is another conversation. So what you need to be doing if you've had such a mother is not to sit around and think that you shouldn't be born. You know what you should do, in my opinion? First of all, as I said, you have to eradicate this woman from internally and create some distance externally, obviously. Unfortunately, since she did such a bad work with parenting you, you're going to have to reparent yourself. That is the unfortunate part, that you have to do all this work for parenting yourself, finding that you're worthy again and feeling good about this life. But the best thing also is this. She had you in her belly for 9 months, did all the thing of like, look at me, I'm pregnant, whatever. She ticked the box, she had you, then she was like, oh no, this is for real now. I have to deal with someone else. I'm too self-centered to do that. I don't have the maturity to do that. No, she didn't think all of that. She just thought, what an annoying kid that has needs. Ugh. And also it's not perfect. And also she makes mistakes. And also she makes me look bad. And also it's not a Muppet. I can't do anything I want with her. I hate her. She's the reason of my suffering, blah, blah. Before all of that mess happened. Or even after. She had you. As I said before, too late. So what I want you to do is figure out what you're going to do to create distance externally, to eradicate her internally, right? And to enjoy that life to the maximum extent that you can. And just let her do her thing. If she resents having you so much, and if you were such a disgrace and a disappointment, she can just continue to enjoy her beautiful life without you. And I don't know who she's going to blame now for her misery. If you have siblings, it's probably going to be one of them. Or if you don't, it's probably going to be because you left her. Or what, who knows? Who knows what she's going to do? But I'm hoping that what you're going to do is take back the reins and remember the following thing that I'm going to tell you. She may have gifted to you life. Gifted, yes, it was a gift, right? But that gift is not something that you owe back. And even if she thinks that you do and you owe her anything, don't pay her back. You don't have to pay her back. Even if you feel like, oh no, I owe her so much, don't pay her back. How does that feel to think that you don't have to pay back the person who decided to birth you on their own agenda? I don't care if it was a mistake or an accident. I don't even care about that. She had you. And then she decided to abuse you. She continued to abuse you because she didn't know better than having empathy for her own child. Great. No worries. So she's losing the payment. She's losing the repayment, which would be what? Devotion, retirement plan, leaning on you as she gets old and fragile, which is a horrible image to think that older people who have raised kids will then end up being alone during the end of their lives. And many daughters of such women go back dutiful to take care of these women because they can't stand the guilt of feeling that they are a bad daughter. They don't want to do it. They don't want to be around her. They don't even genuinely care, but they feel like a bad person if they don't do it, right? And it is a sad reality when this happens, but this is the byproduct of abuse. These are the consequences of abuse. Chronic abuse that did not stop even when you were a kid. But first of all, it is humiliating to even think that somebody would go against their own child when they were a child. And then as you grew into a woman to compete with you because you're a woman, but you are their child. And then as you continue on with your life, they're lurking, they're hating on you, right? They're shaming you, they're comparing you, they're bringing you down because they don't feel good enough about themselves. Even though they pretend they're amazing and they have no flaws, in actuality, narcissistic mothers are so insecure because they're emotionally immature. They like to be the prettiest girl in the room kind of thing, right? The best in the room, whatever, prettiest, add whatever. But you are probably charismatic and funny and smart, all the things. And instead of being super proud to be your mother, she felt jealous and less than you because she's insecure. In her mind, everything is a battle. If you're winning, I'm losing. If you're okay, I'm sad. So she was competing you. Very, 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 very fitting with the emotional maturity that she has, right, of a little girl. So she gave you life. Use this life to make the most of it and release the guilt that you kind of owe that life to her because you don't know the gift that you were given. You don't know the gifts. It was a gift. It wasn't a loan. It wasn't like, let me lend you a life and then you give it back to me by being devoted to me my entire life as I continue to abuse you like you're a hostage to me your entire life. It is tragic. It is tragic, and I read comments of women saying, I'm 70 years old and she just passed and I'm now realizing. You see? Your life is short, right? And your mother did a lot of mistakes, made possibly all the mistakes. She did a horrible job as a mother, but she got one thing right. And that is that she brought you to life. And I'm really excited for you to understand that no matter what happened, you can take back the power. You can go in and find your worth. You can replace that inner mother with a mother that is good to you, which is you. And you can go out and enjoy this life that you were gifted. Because you deserve so much. You had no control over your childhood. Okay, and now it's time to live whatever life you have left in a way that feels good for you, not for her. All right? So, when your mother was so mean that made you feel like you wish you were never born, I want you to remember that you were born. So even if she tried to ruin all of that for you, you can recover a lot of that back. And you can do it internally with yourself. She doesn't have to be involved. She doesn't have to mother you anymore. You can just mother yourself. If you want a structured way to do that, I have Heal, which is now reshaped into a beautiful 4-week journey back to your worth. And yeah, do it. Live your life. And let her now be happy without you. See who she now blames for her eternal, unchanging misery. I'll see you soon.